Council meeting tonight, January 7th, 2020. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Here.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Here.
Councilmember Nichols.
Here.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Boever.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please remove your hats, please? In the audience. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, certification of prior meetings.
This is to certify that an official copy of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, December 17, 2019 was presented to the mayor on Thursday, December 19, 2019. Pursuant to Section 3.03 of the Dunkirk City Charter, all items presented to the mayor are now in full force and effect. In witness whereof I have hereto set my hand on the seal of the city of Dunkirk, New York, this 7th day of January 2020.
Need a motion to dispense the reading of the minutes.
So moved.
By Councilman Williams.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Nichols. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Boever.
Aye. Carried. Don?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
I second it.
First by Councilman Williams, second by Councilwoman Nichols to go into executive session. All in favor, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Boever.
Aye. It's just be a brief couple minutes, and it won't take too long. Just a couple things to discuss.
Need you to keep time, sir.
And we nominate Marty to keep time. Thank you.
Councilman at-large, did you want us to join?
We're just the council.
Are you speaking tonight?
I'm sorry?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, I know.
councilmen, councilwomen are still in executive session. Should be a couple more minutes.
They have like C and B, and this one like AB. Some other stuff.
Okay, so we're amending, what are we?
The one that we talked about. 14. We're gonna amend that one. They're gonna amend that one. So now there's language they're gonna add to it, but they're gonna call it. Let me get this in. The good calling one, we're gonna amend that one also. And then we're gonna vote on the one that Rich was saying. That's legislation. Okay? All right.
Are we going into privilege of the floor?
Yeah. I'd like to call the privilege of the floor. Communications. Ready?
The privilege of the floor shall be extended to any person appearing for themselves, in which case that individual shall be limited to 3 minutes, and to any person representing a group who shall be limited to 5 minutes. When recognized, please stand and state your name and address. The city clerk shall have the duty of maintaining such time limits, and the councilman at large may determine in his discretion whether individuals are speaking for themselves or representing groups. Councilman at large Vanden Heuvel shall maintain good order and may require any speaker to cease speaking if remarks are made in bad taste or are slanderous or non-germane to any action taken or contemplated by council. The time limit specified shall be strictly adhered to, except that a speaker may be allowed to complete a statement or thought started before such time has expired.
Privilege of the floor is now open. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and your address.
Hello, Nick Penque, 745 Grant Avenue. Now that we have a new council in place, I'd just like to make a suggestion that maybe we can dust off the city charter and maybe do some revisions on it, such as open burning in the city. And also, I'd like an update on the storm sewer receivers that I talked about a while back and was told that we have some storm sewer receivers that are going to sort out the plastic before it goes to the lake. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody like to respond? Randy?
Thank you. Yes, the storm sewers, especially on Grand Avenue, need attention. I think you brought up two issues on that. You talked about the plastic getting to the lake. You want to make sure that please, people, be careful not to throw any plastic onto the road because it can get into the storm drains. The storm drains have been marked by the Lake Erie Management Commission. We've got about a quarter of the way through the city. We had the template to do more. It says, please be careful with this drain because plastics, motor oil, stuff like that goes to our precious Lake Erie. So very good point. You also have some drainage issues on Grand Avenue that before we pave that, you want to address those drainage issues. They back up all the way to All-Star Ambulance and then they go through somebody's backyard. We've been studying that. We have a plan to do that. To fix the drainage, and then your comment about keeping dangerous things out of the drains is excellent. Glad you brought it up. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Woodbury. Anybody else like to wish to speak? Council? Discussion? Anybody else wish to speak at the podium? Please state your name and your address.
My name is Ned Devine and I live at 618 Main Street in the city of Dunkirk. For transparency, I also serve as the chair of the Dunkirk Democratic Party. I would like to speak against the walk-in resolutions, of which there are several. First of all, walk-in resolutions have been opposed by the previous council as not transparent. I have never really disagreed with that notion, but I do understand sometimes waiting an additional 2 weeks would hamper the city in moving forward efficiently. No one can argue that this is the case here. There is a budget modification to move $150,000 to the personal services line from the Department of Law and the Personnel Department lines. I suspect that this is an attempt to obstruct the mayor from hiring replacements for those workers this council may remove today without cause. I'm asking, who wrote the resolutions, and did you waste taxpayer dollars to hire an outside contractor to write the simple resolutions? My next question is, who did you contract these services with, and how much did you pay them? None of the information has been shared with city residents. Is this $150,000 budget modification a slush fund for the council to waste taxpayer money on a non-appointed, non-required council attorney? Having a family or political dispute with the mayor or workers is no way to resolve a minor dispute. In these resolutions, there is no cause listed. This backroom deal is no way to treat hardworking people in the city of Dunkirk. Treating workers as pawns to be discarded with at a whim is no way to treat workers, organized or otherwise. I find it as a person of labor to be revolting, but not everyone is pro-labor, and I understand that. I encourage all of the council to consider the repercussions of such an obstructionist move. This city, over the past 2 decades, has has not increased tax rates. The last 4 years, the city has been in the black and not even raised water and wastewater fees, as previous administrations have done. The reason for this has been a combination of hard work, fiscal integrity, and cooperation with the council. The city faces a growing fiscal challenges, and removing these appointments will exacerbate this situation. This council is following in the footsteps of a council who worked with the mayor to move the city forward, working on a long-neglected infrastructure slowly but deliberately. The city has moved forward on too many projects to list here while keeping the budget balanced. Most certainly, this lack of compassion for hardworking people will not be in the city's best interest. I submit that removing people without cause violates the most basic tenets of organized labor, of which 3 of the council members receive support from, if not monetarily, certainly by their votes. I understand that 2 of the council members are very new to the process. Do you want your first council meeting to include a vote to be based on one of lack of experience but of such significance that people are fired after your total experience as a council member is 7 days? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any response?
Yeah, I'd like to just say that we did attempt to do a pre-file, and these should have been pre-filed, but the city attorney got the pre-file wrong, and so we had to go to outside because the city attorney wasn't even in the building at the time that things were supposed to be pre-filed. So we had to go to outside counsel, and I do not anticipate that any outside or any city money will be used to pay for that. That was done as a favor to us to get these resolutions in. And I don't know what else to say about any of that. Some of it you're just wrong on, and you're just here to do a job to promote the mayor. So that was why you came in. You said it right at the beginning with your statement that you were the Democratic chairman, so I think we'll just take that with the weight that it is.
Anybody else? Anybody else willing to? Yep, sure.
My name is Natalie Luchkowiak. I'm a resident of Dunkirk, and I would like to address the issue of removing 3 appointed positions from Dunkirk. It shows us an act of, the whole city, an act of vindictiveness. It's an insult to my intelligence. Instead of taking steps to unite towards a wonderful city for all, I ask that you think for the city's best interests and don't start your term with games, but with a vision for our wonderful city. This is what I came for today. I'm very disappointed. It will be very difficult to replace these people, with good qualified appointments. I'm sure anyone will think twice because of fear of retaliation. Is your plan to exhaust our mayor by not approving any of his appointees and thereafter putting our city at risk without an attorney, et cetera? And I would like to not start off with divisiveness, but maybe some unity.
No, thank you very much. We'll take that in consideration. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak tonight? Yep, Don?
Let me just add too, just disclaimer for Natalie too, she's the secretary of the Democratic Committee, so if we're going to have the whole committee come on up and say what you need to say. I'm also the vice chair, which that might not be happening for too much longer either. But one other thing to answer Ned's question about the money that's in the lines for the budget modification. As soon as there's an appointment, there will also be a budget modification putting that money back in there.
All right, thank you. Just briefly, if I could, I know that Councilman at Large Walzen ran his meeting a little bit different than what I'm going back to the old school, so I figure if you people take the time to come down here and ask a question to one of us, I think we should answer it. And that means anybody. You should direct that question to anybody. I have no problem with that. Like I said, everybody has busy schedules in today's society, and everybody works hard. And so if you come down here, we'll try to find the answer for you. If we don't have the answer for you, we will get that as soon as possible. But anybody else wishing to speak?
My name's Jeanette Delgado. I live at 309 Dove Street, Dunkirk, New York, and for the record, I want to state clearly that I'm not a member of the Democratic Committee. I'm also an ordained minister and a community activist. Going into this year, with this being kind of a chopping block as the first day, it makes me cause concern as to what the future will hold for the next 2 years. Most of these positions have to go through a transitional period in order for the city itself to get through it. So for immediate firing of a city attorney who has a lot of things that are already in progress when it comes to development, when it comes to many legalities, that he even works closely with the housing authority, okay? So an immediate departure from this department would not benefit any member of the city besides the people who are putting it in writing, to be honest with you. It would be something that would need to go through a transitional period, and you would need to find somebody who can cover that period. Okay, kind of like when Bob Bankowski left and they went through this transitional period, it was for the betterment of society. I know in politics it's very hard when it's red and blue, but we need to live in a gray. We need to agree to disagree and come together as a community and do what's right for the citizens that live here, that pay your taxes, that pay your paychecks. You know, we want to survive this as well. We don't want to lose services. We don't want our taxes raised. We want to function like we've been functioning the last 4 years. And I just don't feel like an immediate removal of a city attorney who's so far involved in everything that he's involved in makes sense, to be honest with you. It seems more like a political power play, and I hate to say it like that, and this happens all throughout the world. It's not just Dunkirk. But we need to take into consideration going forward the next 2 years, is this city going to be ran on tit for tat over who's right and wrong, whether it's Democratic or Republican, or is it going to be ran based on the betterment of society and the citizens that live here? And that's all I ask at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to speak tonight? State your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Sean Harper. I live at 106 West 5th Street, the city of Dunkirk, New York. I was in the meeting earlier and I was listening to things that were said about salaries. and there's a cap on the city clerk of 32 hours a week. This is not slavery. He's here longer than 32 hours a week. Is he being compensated for those hours that he's here? If he's not being compensated, then isn't it right that he should be made a salaried employee? Salaried employees, I was one. We got it overtime, but if it was something that we did and it was on our own, we didn't get paid for it. Salaried employees don't get paid overtime. You guys don't get paid overtime. But he shouldn't have to be here during the day and then at night without compensation. I didn't understand if that was the case or not. There is the first question. Secondly, I heard Mr. Williams talk about the Democratic Party and committee and all. I'm not part of that. I voted for you. You said in your own words just a few moments ago, you may not be part of that anymore. Are you transferring your affiliation? Okay.
Not at all.
That was my question for you. Now, as far as the hiring and firing of people, I go along with the young lady that said earlier, let there be a time. Let people, or you get your people that you feel is qualified to bring them in. But as far as getting rid of an HR person, the city of Dunkirk was in the red prior to all of this. Now they're in the black. Now you got a position you're going to get rid of that didn't take money away to put you in the red. Why do it now? Is it what she said? Is it just politics? Or do we have to, in 2 years, come together and vote all of you out? You work for us. So apparently, the majority of those that are in here, or some of those in here, don't want this done. So why do it? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Council?
I just want to answer Mr. Harper on the one about the city clerk.
Yes, sir.
That's a hourly rate. That's not, none of the resolutions are set by council.
Okay.
That was something that the mayor and the city clerk, I believe, came to an agreement with years ago, and I think it's gone up from when he first came in. So I don't know where the 32 hours came from for the limit, and I don't know what happened. Maybe the mayor can answer to that, but that isn't us. I just wanted to codify what everybody's making so that we have resolutions saying what current update it is for everybody and what they're making and how many hours they're expected to work. Okay. So this wasn't anything new. This is what was going on. This would have continued along anyways. My intent on trying to bring that forward was for transparency so that we know what people are making and what hours they're expected to work.
Okay.
Yeah, Mayor?
Mr. Harper, just to make sure everything is clear, all the salaries that are in there get approved by council every year during budget time.
Okay.
And this council approves that. Councilman Williams was part of the council that approved this. In my opinion, if he doesn't remember doing it or if he regrets doing it, these resolutions mean absolutely nothing. This is just for your information, an FYI. But this has already been approved formally by council.
Okay. And you said that, does he get paid for every hour that he works? Because I've been in here during the day, and I've come back in the afternoon because I left here trying to find out how much my water bill was. It came back later, and he was still here. Does he get compensated for those hours? Or
He gets compensated according to the contractual agreement that we have. If he's putting in more than 32 hours, then no. The answer is he is not being compensated for those extra hours. What we can do here formally, if this council wants to, is we can provide for him a raise.
or increase?
Well, come budget time, yeah, we're going to have to look at all the individuals with the budget. I'm all for that.
And if we're talking transparency, I never saw you guys' salaries in that transparency thing. I never saw the chief's salary in those transparency things. Let's be transparent.
Well, that's appointee positions. Those are civil service positions.
And the chiefs, both chiefs' salaries were up, and we voted on those back when the contracts for the PBA and the firefighters came up. So
Okay.
that was out there, transparency-wise, that was out there at one time.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to speak? Please come forward, state your name and your address.
Carmen Quinones, 103 Central Avenue, Fredonia, New York. My mother is here as Carmen Quinones, 411 Columbus Avenue in Dunkirk, New York, and we're a group.
I'm Carmen Quiñones from 411 Columbus. I live in this house since 1972. The city workers came in working in front of my house, and they broke my water line on my sidewalk. I can't believe it. And then they told me to call the plumber. I called the plumber and they talked to the plumber. But I can't believe it to work in front of my house. You know, I was busy in my house with the funeral of my husband and everything else. And I can't believe this happened, you know, because it wasn't broken before and my sidewalk is broken. I need my sidewalk fixed, you know. What if somebody fall down there now, you know? Who's gonna pay for that now? But I need my, you know, you gotta take care of the bill, you know. They told me to call the plumber, I called the plumber, they talked to the plumber. I didn't know what they were doing. You know, I was inside my house doing my business, what I was doing, you know. I can't believe this that happened to me. You gotta pay that bill, you know. I can't afford to pay that $4,000, you know. It wasn't broken before. They showed me it was very old. Of course, the house is very old. No, the tubes and all that, the whole house is very old. So they showed me the thing broken, very old, rusty. Of course, don't tell me the house is very old, but they were working in front of my house. They brought the heavy equipment, the heavy trucks and everything.
And everything went boom, and there was water all over the place.
And people were coming, Carmen, there's water. I was inside the house cleaning the house. You know, I'm not outside watching. I know your boss, whatever.
And thank you very much for hearing us. We called Randy Woodbury. I left a message for you, and I'm sorry that you didn't return the message. Can you tell me why you didn't call me back? My husband also called the city attorney, too, to see if we could resolve this before we filed the claim.
Would anybody like to speak on that? Yeah, Richard?
Y si tú quieres, yo puedo hablar en español también para explicar las cosas, but I'm going to speak in English first.
I'm bilingual because I'm here for a long time. I came from Buffalo. I got married in 1968 to live in Dunkirk. I came here when I was 12. I know.
Okay.
Thank you that we have, I'm so proud that we have a Spanish mayor. Thank you, everybody. I never thought I'd see the Spanish mayor. I was here when I was 12. Thank you. The change is beautiful. I love you all.
Yes. And then now,
But
why
Ms.
you didn't
Quinones,
get back?
just to get back to your question.
Take care of my bill.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Quinones. The issue is in government, as I'll go through on some of these resolutions that are topic of discussion tonight, there's a procedure and a process for everything. And anytime the city's insured, just like you are with your car, the city has an insurance company that handles any and all claims. In order to trigger that process, the notice of claim has to be filed with the city. It's not something that I or the mayor negotiate with you or the council negotiate with you. We take the claim to the insurance company. The insurance company does its investigation, its homework, and then from there they make a determination whether the city is indeed responsible for the damages on your line or not. That process can't start until you file a notice of claim, which you just did and is going
But I
in
did,
today.
and yeah, because it wasn't broken. My thing is, wasn't broken before. My sidewalk wasn't broken before.
Right.
So I'm worried now. What if somebody fall down on my sidewalk that is broken? Who are they going to sue? They can't sue me. You know, it's broken. Anybody could slip and fall down and get hurt there. You know what happened after that.
Okay. So we just wanted to put this on the record because we got the claim in.
Well, you did, and now the
we're
process
done.
starts. That's
Yes.
correct, and it goes
Okay.
from there.
So you're going to take care of the bill.
Didn't say that. That's up for the
see.
insurance company to decide, ma'am, not
I
the
want to
city.
hear
of
that.
Dunkirk.
I'd like to know about it.
Randy, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you, my love to all you, and, you know,
Thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah, you want to tell me why you didn't call me back?
I did call your family back, and I spoke to someone in your family. If I didn't talk to everybody that you wanted me to, I apologize. I tried to communicate exactly what the city attorney said, but also the reason we were there is to replace some of the sidewalks under the city sidewalk program that that we're doing with city workers this year. So your sidewalk will be fixed when the weather permits.
That's good.
But what happened is the water shutoff was run over by a large piece of equipment.
That's right.
And the city fixed that. And they tried to connect it back up to your main, and they found out that you had a galvanized pipe, which doesn't last forever. And they recommended that that now would be a good time to fix that galvanized pipe that you own. We didn't damage that.
Well, actually, you know what happened? The front-end loader, backhoe, or whatever the heavy equipment was, backed up on the verge between the street and the sidewalk on top of the cap for the vault shutoff. And that pushed the vault down onto the pipe, breaking it. So I'm not going to argue over semantics, because we have the claim. I just wanted to face you directly in public to let you know I did call you, and you never called me back on my cell phone, but that's neither here nor there.
The equipment, those machines were very heavy.
I agree. And I'll be happy to, if I didn't get a hold of you, I apologize.
Thank you,
And
Randy.
I'll talk to you anytime.
I thank you, my love to all of you. I live here for a long time.
Okay,
I know
thanks.
you.
We will try to
Thank you
help
very much.
all we can.
Thank you, dear.
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
will appreciate. I'm all alone. My husband died. I'm
I
a widow,
understand.
and I need help. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Anybody else wishing to speak tonight? Come forward, state your name and your address.
James.
Hi, Jim Fisher with Revitalize Dunkirk. I guess I'm the commercial break tonight or something, it seems. But I just want to let you know that we have our January Revitalize Dunkirk meeting on the 16th of this month down at the incubator, the Fredonia Incubator. And we'd especially like to invite the new council persons here to come and see what we're all about and, talk to us and like that. So, and it's at 6:30 at the incubator. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. You do a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to speak tonight? Anybody else?
Mike Civiletto, 200 Franklin Avenue. I rise in support of Resolution Number 11, 2020. It is in the best interest of the city and its taxpayers. Resolutions that save the city money, and this resolution is referring to as the lease agreement with the county court system. It increases the ability to raise money without raising taxes, potentially saving money for the city in the future. The lease agreement with the county to rent space in City Hall only makes sense, as it will create a revenue stream, increase space to the courts and city officials as they move into the Stearns building, and the police department and the courts will finally be in compliance once this space is occupied and renovated. And the Stearns building pays for itself with money received in rentals from tenants already occupying the bottom floor of the Stearns building. In the same vein, I strongly disagree with the removal of Dave Campola and with Richard Morrisroe. Dave Campola himself, he has negotiated several union contracts for the city, has a long resume showing a history of helping to negotiate union contracts at ECR. His value as an HR director is invaluable. He saved us from potentially being fined by not being in compliance with New York state law, by initiating and conducting the required training long ignored by former administrations. The training was in safety and active shooter training required by the state that I also took when I was a councilman. He worked full-time hours while being paid part-time hours, far below his worth, reflecting his years of dedication and experience and commitment to Dunkirk. In reference to Richard Morrisroe, I've been informed that one of the reasons is because he doesn't write the resolutions the way you want them written. As a councilman, you can write your own resolutions. I had the ability to do that if I wanted to. My question is why with Dave Campola? I'd like all the sponsors of the resolution, including the councilman at large, to give the citizens of Dunkirk valid reasons why this man is being removed. I'd like you to convince us that this is not political, that this is not personal, and that it's a benefit to us as citizens.
Thank you. Any council member like to speak on behalf of that? Anybody want to respond? Anybody else out there like to speak tonight? Anybody else? All right. Floor is closed. Communications from the mayor, including disapproval messages.
Mr. Chairman, I just, with all due respect to this council, I would need to, at this point, inform you that I will be exercising my executive veto power on some of these resolutions you plan on voting on this evening. I believe that there is a power struggle between the legislative branch and the executive branch of government happening here in the city, and there would be only one loser if this struggle continues, and that would be our city taxpayers. So at this time, I would like to inform you that I will be, per the charter, using the 10-day grace period to look into the legalities of these resolutions, to ensure that they comply with the city code, the city charter, all New York State applicable laws, as well as federal laws. I believe at this time that these resolutions and the action being taken by this council is overstepping their legislative boundaries. That being said, I would like to turn it over to the city attorney so that he could explain some of his findings in the research that he's been directed to do.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to hand out some information to the council. Members of the meeting. Good evening, everybody. I was asked by the mayor, as one of my duties, I'm not just the draftsman for council. The city attorney does a lot of things. We have our hands in pretty much everything that comes through the city, including all the development projects, all the grants, all the contracts, union negotiations, et cetera, et cetera. But we stay pretty busy. I came in as a 20-hour-a-week part-timer, and I'm now a 28-hour-a-week part-timer. So I do what I can, and I try to respond to text messages, emails, and phone calls at all times, day and night, and that's, I consider, part of my job. I also have a private practice, but I would say my number one client is the city of Dunkirk. And I moved down here and moved my practice down here, my family, missing my kid's ball game right now, over at Dunkirk High School, God bless them, with Southwestern, to do this people's business. Now, part of that job is to inform you, as legal advisor of the city, of the legalities of actions being taken or being contemplated. And I can inform you that based on my research, the actions being contemplated today are patently illegal. And here's why. The information I just passed out to the media and the council shows that city code and city charter don't exist in a vacuum. State law is what controls, and state law then is shifted over to the localities and the municipalities. And when the municipalities create their own code and charter, they cover as much as they can, but anytime there's a gap or anytime there's anything that isn't addressed, state law governs. Moreover, as part of that process, anytime there's anything in local law that conflicts with state law wins. That's just the way it is. That's not a Dunkirk issue. That's not a Mayor Rosas issue. That's not a Rich Morrisrow issue. That's just the law. The issue here is, historically, and I did the homework, the two sections that the council is using to exercise these terminations were passed via a local law in 1985. I believe Councilman Stoyle's brother was the sponsor. And the issue there was some questions about whether council should have representation in union negotiations. That was one piece of this, and the other piece was some of the council members took issue with some of the appointed department heads, I guess history repeats itself, and wanted the power to terminate. At that point in time, the city was in the midst of just the first 10 years of its strong mayor form of government. That had happened in 1977 via a charter review commission that had worked from 75 to 77 to create this form of government. The current charter we have was enacted in 1977 and has been amended on and off piecemeal ever since then. The code that is a companion to the charter was created to sort of fill out some of those blanks. One of the issues that you have in every level of government, from the federal on down here, is separation of powers. That's one of the things that separates this country from a lot of other countries. And here, because we were afraid of repeating what happened under King George, what led to the American Revolution, we have a government that's split between the executive branch, legislative branch, and the judicial branch. The executive branch does the work, the legislative branch creates the laws, helps manage budget, approves budgets, and the judicial branch interprets the law. Here, the day-to-day operations of the city are run by the mayor, and the department heads, by law, by charter, serve at the pleasure of the mayor. The council approves, subject to council approval, or disapproval, as it were. This law that was passed in 1985, because of general municipal home rule law, which is state law, was subject to a referendum. That referendum never happened. What happened was, at that point in time, Mayor Gregoreski exercised his veto, the law was vetoed, and they didn't overcome it. So the law was never went before the citizens of Dunkirk in referendum. Now, we researched that from 1985 to the present. That referendum never happened. Thus, those two provisions, those two council powers, are null and void. So, I strongly, as I've already put the council on notice that I thought there were some issues with this, and I continued doing my research, and sure enough, procedurally there's an issue. Let alone the issue of lack of due process under 14th Amendment rights, as translated down to the city, and also the issue of just cause, which some people raised in their public comment period. So, again, and I know council was sought, and the reason that is again, because I'm part-time, so he could have called, and he could have set an appointment, but he didn't. And the issue was, I didn't write the resolution the way he wanted because these clarification resolutions are legally unnecessary. Council voted on our salaries in 2019 via the budget process, and again in 2020 as those numbers remain the same as the 2019 numbers. That's why, and he was upset because I didn't do it the way he wanted. Number one. Number two, the termination resolutions, again, are null and void, and if they do pass them today, the mayor will likely veto and will likely have to go to court to get a declaratory judgment to have the Supreme Court, again, whose job it is to interpret the laws, the Supreme Court of the state of New York, not the federal, and it'll be declared null and void. And the process, if they want that power, will have to be debated publicly, locally, and then will have to be voted on via a mandatory referendum. The same is true of this trying to take budget money away from department heads, appointed officials, that again serve at the pleasure of the mayor. To do this without a public referendum is again illegal and an overreach of legislative power. So, unfortunately, for those who want us out, we're not going anywhere because those provisions of the law are illegal. And if you take the action and you move forward, all I can say is that we'll have to battle it in court, and the city will have to pay outside counsel, and we'll have to pay for conflict counsel, which is allowed per the city code if council decides to pursue this. And it's coming out of your pocket, and mine, because I'm a city taxpayer too. That's the reality of the situation. That's just the law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to communications from public and petitions.
Number one, thank you letter from the Disabled American Veterans of Chautauqua County, Chapter 142 in the City of Dunkirk, in appreciation for the preparation and site work at Memorial Park, enabling them to place a new monument dedicated to all disabled veterans who served this great country and city.
You'll receive and file.
Number two, notice of claim from Jack P. Cuiava of 62 Middle Road for damages to his cellar and the cost of cleanup allegedly due to a main sewer plugged and main sewer backup.
Need a motion to refer to Law Department and Department of Public Works.
So moved.
By Councilman Williams. Second by Councilman Bomano. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye. Carried.
Number four, I'm sorry, number 3, notice of claim from Carmen Quinones of 411 Columbus Avenue for damages done to her water line and sidewalk created allegedly by city crew that was doing a sidewalk replacement across the street from her home on October 4, 2019. Invoice for repairs to the water line is attached, still waiting for the city to repair the sidewalk.
Need a motion to refer to the Law Department and Director of Public Works Director?
So moved.
By Councilman Williams, second by Councilman Stoyl. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Heuvel.
Aye. Carried.
Number 4, follow-up letter from Daniel and Deborah Schranz regarding the frequent flooding of their tenants' apartment at 65 North Main and neighboring homes since 2018.
Need a motion to refer this to the Law Department and Department of Public Works?
Nice.
By Councilman Stoyl, second by Councilwoman Nichols. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Heuvel.
Aye. Carried. All right, we'll move to reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams.
I got nothing today.
Councilman Bamanto.
I'd like to say thank you for filling up the court tonight, everybody that came out and everybody that spoke. Thank you very much. I'll have more to speak when we get to these resolutions. Thank you.
Councilman Stoyl.
Nothing.
Councilwoman Nichols.
Not now.
I have nothing either, Ed. We'll go to unfinished business, pre-filed resolutions.
Number 11, resolution authorizing execution of lease with Chautauqua County on behalf of Public Defender's Office.
Any discussion? Richard, would you like to explain that? Like I asked you earlier about the lease? Yeah.
Sure. So, council members, if you remember, the previous council approved a resolution for the city's purchase of the Stearns Building, and there was some controversy about that because the question was, why was the city taking a building off the tax rolls? And the issue was the city actually saved money as the tax rolls were $4,000 total, and that includes school and county tax. And we were paying $11,000 because the development office, development and planning department is on the second floor per year. We now save that, and the city's already a landlord. This courtroom is no longer paid for with city tax dollars. It's paid with state tax dollars because the New York State courts took over all the local courts some years ago. And so our biggest tenant right now is the city court system. And because the city courts are changing and because they're adding other programs, they're eating more and more real estate. Moreover, the Public Defender's Office and the ADA's office, Dunkirk is the largest municipality in the northern Chautauqua County. They wanted to have office space to cover for their ADAs, the assistant district attorneys, and the assistant public defenders to have an outpost in northern Chautauqua County. So both have reached out to us to have space, and space that is, again, close to the courtroom where they do most of their business. So this is the first step. The public defender, with a lot of changes that have been controversial and in the news lately regarding bail reform law and discovery changes in legal discovery law, the Public Defender's Office received some state grant money to expand operations, hire more staff, and to have that outpost here in northern Chautauqua County. And what they've decided to do is they'd like to take the space that's currently the Public Works Office, which will be moving over to the Stearns Building, and that space will house 3 to 4 assistant public defenders and admin staff. They have to also do a companion resolution to approve this lease with the county legislature. I believe that is happening this week as well. And if both bodies approve of the lease, the work will start, they'll start doing the build-out, and we'll have to plan that out. Obviously, this won't happen overnight, and we have to do our own build-out as well in the Stearns Building.
So that's, the Department of Public Works will be going
to the Stearns,
and then public defenders will be going in their office, which is on the second floor?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion, council? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Heuvel.
Aye.
Number 12, resolution awarding bids 2020 treatment chemicals, water pollution control facility, and water treatment plant.
Any discussion? Councilman Williams?
Was there a line that we were supposed to get rid of on here?
Yes. Now, it's the second, I believe, whereas, about the line. We still haven't come to terms yet with Mississippi Lime Company regarding price per ton. They're one of what's considered a sole source provider, so they were sole bidder, much like when we had that issue with equipment for the EMT stuff, that when we ran that resolution last year. And at this point in time, I have word from DPW that they're still in negotiations, so we're just going to cross that out.
That was resolution 12 or 15?
12.
This is 12.
Okay. 12. I know that we had another one on 15 too, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That one's been corrected already and revised. This one, we're just simply doing a cross out of the second whereas, and then would seek to have that passed as amended.
Need a motion to amend?
So moved.
By Councilman Williams?
Second.
By Councilwoman Nichols? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vanden Heuver?
Aye. Carried. Now we need a motion to pass to vote on Resolution 1220. Any discussion? Need a motion?
I don't know that we do.
Do we need a...
We don't need a motion.
Do we need a motion or?
As amended to,
Yeah.
pass as amended?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion then if we need one.
Okay, motion by Councilman Williams.
Second.
By Councilman Bamanto. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vanden Heuver?
Aye. Carried.
Number 13, resolution requesting removal of HR Director Campola.
Any discussion, Council? Marty?
Yes, and the
Councilman Bamanto.
Yes. Councilman Van Hoover, I'd like to state what I'm going to try to do. Instead of commenting on the next two and the three possible elimination job, I'll just all at one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that'll speed up things a little bit.
Yep.
Thank you for some of the people that spoke. I think you spoke on what I'm going to talk about right now. I think you're right. We're here with the new council, 3 new council people, and I've been here in my 3rd term now, and little experience, and what's going on tonight to try to get rid of possibly 3 people in key roles of the city, just to let the people know what's going on right now as far as David Campola's position. He's in the middle of a PBA negotiations. That would be a tough hole to fill for now if he were to be removed from that job. Also, the city attorney is always involved in those in some way, somehow, along with the mayor. And that would be another hole we'd have to fill, bring in 2 people to fill that void just for the negotiations. There's also a $25 million budget that we're responsible for in the city and the rest of the administration. And we might have to, if this goes the way they want it to go here, hire out legal people to help us out. In the same time, the mayor would have to be interviewing several positions at the same time. And then they have to come to our approval if he found somebody to fit those positions that they were willing to take it. So I think the timing of this and the amount of people doing it at the same time, I think we should be giving it a little bit more thought. I think we should vote no to this. I'm going to be voting no to it, or possibly table it in lieu of what I just heard. There's some possibly things that we haven't done right. So if we table, we can talk about it and move it down the road. But I just want to let the people know that I'm totally against this, and the other stuff is going to be coming up with the walk-ins, and I'll explain that when that time comes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Bamanto. Councilman Stoyl?
Got nothing.
No.
Councilwoman Nichols? Okay. All right, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
No.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vanden Heuver?
Aye. Carried.
Number 14, resolution requesting removal of Executive Assistant Wesley.
Need a motion to amend?
I make a motion.
Yeah, as long as we're going to court and getting this stuff straightened out, be it further resolved that the position of executive assistant to the mayor be dissolved.
The position dissolved.
We're looking at a population of 11,000 people. This is in New York City. We've got a secretary out there that's worked under 10 mayors without a complaint. That's my amendment.
Okay. I need a motion.
If I could just say again, just to let you guys know, again, that action is overstepping boundaries because, again, a mandatory referendum has to be done. You'd have to do a local law change because you're removing...
For what?
To dissolve that position.
That position never existed.
It was created legally. Again, if you want to litigate that, litigate that.
Did it ever go through council?
It didn't have to. It's not a cabinet-appointed officer position.
It's not a chartered position, though.
Say again?
It's not a chartered position.
It's not an appointed officer position, correct, but appointed officer positions are the only ones council votes on. The executive branch decides all other positions.
Okay, so listen, instead of getting out of hand here, we'll vote how we're going to vote, and we'll see what happens down the road, okay?
First, we're voting on that amendment.
Yes, yep. Mayor?
Just want to educate the public here that for years the city's been functioning in a way that no other municipality, as I learned, is functioning. All the other mayors that I have spoken to have a confidential, a management confidential secretary. The city of Dunkirk does not. She is a member of the local union, and that is a conflict for the city, which is why this other position was created. So I just wanted to educate the public here because I think that has to be known, that the city has not been functioning traditionally the way most other municipalities are functioning. And as far as the secretary goes, she does a wonderful job, and I have nothing negative to say about her.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Still, I need a motion to amend.
I would just like to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What the mayor just said, it's like he slapped Carol Owes right in the face by, she's been your confidential secretary for how many secretaries, as Jim said?
Yeah, as I said before, I don't believe this council member understand the word, management confidential. That's a terminology that you probably should look into.
Okay, okay.
Aware what confidential means, Mayor.
Wonderful, then you should know that that is needed.
My amendment.
Okay, guys, come on, let's go. All right. We'll just move on. We have our differences and we'll move on. And
obviously, they don't understand.
So now we're stupid, right?
Okay, so we still need a motion to amend 14, Resolution 14, by Councilwoman Nichols, second by Councilman Williams. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
No.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye, carried.
15, resolution awarding bid 2020 sludge and grid hauling, Dunkirk Water Pollution Control Facility.
Paul, did we just voted to amend? We still
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's my fault. Clerk. Okay, so now we amended that, and now we need a motion to accept and to vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
No.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye, carried.
Number 15, resolution awarding bid 2020 sludge and grid hauling, Dunkirk Water Pollution Control Facility.
Richard, this is one you said we needed to rescind?
Right. The sole revision per Randy was in the resolved in the second paragraph. At first, it said that upon the recommendation of Director of Public Works, the low bidder, and here it was a sole responsible bid. So that's the phrase that was added, the sole responsible bid that met specifications. So we just added that clause from St. George Enterprises.
So if I amend this to vote on amend, do I have to bring it back to vote on it, on the amend version of the resolution?
The amended version was already presented via
Okay.
email, and I believe everybody has paper copies, so we could just vote on it as revised.
Okay, all right.
We have to vote, we have to do an amendment to vote on it as advised, right? Because it wasn't a typo, it's a different language than what's out there.
That's correct.
So we need to, I'll make a motion to amend it the way that it was revised to.
Okay, by Councilman Williams, seconded by Councilman Stoyl. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vandenbover.
Aye.
Now we got to vote on it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Clerk, call the roll on the amended version of Resolution 15, 2020.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vandenbover.
Aye, carried. These are the walk-ins, right? New business. You got these, Eddie?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Resolution 16-2020, January 7, 2020, by Council Members Nichols, Stoyles, and Williams. Clarification of current compensation. Edwin Ramos, City Clerk. Whereas the Common Council from time to time by resolution affirmatively provides the appointment, confirmation, pay, and benefits of various city employees, including certain mayoral appointments. And whereas in the interest of fiscal responsibility and municipal transparency, this Common Council wishes to confirm the pay and benefits actually being received by various city employees, including certain mayoral appointments. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to data provided by Mayor Rosas' administration, it is now clarified that the pay and benefit of Edwin Ramos, City Clerk, are as follows: $19.23 per hour, not to exceed 32 hours per week, and no additional pay or employee benefit package.
Clerk, call the roll. Yep, I'm sorry.
Get to speak?
Yeah, sure.
I think before we do anything to act on the walk-in, we passed last year a resolution that we have to vote to bring this walk-in to the floor to actually vote on it as a resolution.
So you want to vote on all these?
So we have to vote on if we're going to vote on it, is actually how that is.
On all of them or individually?
On all of them, yes.
Can I put them all together or can I put it separately?
I would group the clarification resolutions, because those tend to have the same language. You can group those together, and then the other two you do separately.
Okay.
So we're going to group together 16, 17, 18, and 21. On if we're going to take these today at the meeting.
Correct. So you want to group all?
We just need, I believe we just need a roll call vote on that because they're already sponsored by 2 or more people, so.
Okay. So you do have resolution 16, 17, 18, 20.
But we're just going to group together 16, 17, 18, and 21 because those are the ones that are the clarification of current compensation.
Okay. Ed, you just want to read the names, you don't have to read it all, the compensation and stuff.
You want me to go through the...
You don't have to go through the whole thing.
The information on the bottom?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just read the names then?
They're all getting approved anyway, so.
Just read the names?
Yeah, that's good.
Did you want me to group those all together right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do 16, 17,
Yes,
18, and 21.
17, Marcia Beach, Fiscal Affairs Officer. Rebecca Worcester, Director of Planning and Development. Randy Woodbury, Director of Public Works.
Any discussion, council? Marty?
Yes, I'm against all these amendments as far as the salaries go. I've been through 4 budgets now, and I know who's making what, if there is any increases, if there isn't any increases. I think this is unneeded. As stated by the city attorney, it's unwarranted. If anybody needs to know, that's public knowledge. They can go to the clerk's office, they can go online, they can ask me, I'll tell them. with the new council people, you'll get a notice of what every employee makes of the city, if you haven't gotten one already, if you haven't got one while you guys are running. So that's public knowledge. I don't know why this is out here, maybe to make the administration look bad. I have no idea. But I think it's wrong. I'll be voting against that. I think we're going to need to do a charter change, which I talked about with some of the people here come budget time, and we'll add it into the budget so it's just a little bit more clear. But at this time, I think it's ridiculous. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any council? Don?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I did talk to the auditors that are here from the comptroller's office last Friday, and I asked them if this is something we should do. They did say that legally they couldn't give any legal opinion on if we should do it, but they did say for transparency reasons they'd love to see this when they're doing it. So I will be voting in favor of all of them.
I'll be voting in favor when we change the charter and we do it at budget time.
Okay, yeah, I know this has been past practice, excuse me. I know this has been past practice when I was a councilman years ago, that we just brought them out just to clarify to the public and let them know what was going on. I mean, and there's no intention to belittle anybody, believe me, when I tell you that. I think it's just good checks and balances, but anybody else?
I just think that with 3 new people on now, we should have had all the documentation given to us prior to this meeting on salaries and everything else. So I don't know who's responsible for not giving it to us or making sure that we should have it in a timely fashion.
I'll make sure they have everything, the budget and all the employees' information. Yep, Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, just so the council members are aware, all of this information, as Councilman Bomano has said, is a matter of public record, and as council people, you're more than welcome to get this information anytime you want it. So it's not that somebody didn't provide you the information. If you want it, you're more than welcome to come in and get it. I believe that is part of your responsibility.
Oh, so now we're stupid again, right?
Councilman Williams?
Just want to add that back on December 23rd, I sent an email and included all the council, all the old council, the mayor, the city attorney, and I requested all that information, and I believe we still not have received it to date. So I did ask for it on December 23rd, and we never got it. I was actually asking for it by the January 1st inaugural meeting.
Did you ask the HR department for that?
I asked the city attorney for it, to have it provided to us, and the mayor, so the mayor could have directed you to get it to us. They were both on the email.
All right, thank you, Don. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to vote on the resolutions. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
No.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vandenhoever?
Aye. All right.
Just for clarification.
Yes.
I believe that we just voted to officially then vote on the resolutions then, correct? So we have to go through the resolutions now to vote on them to accept them.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Vandenhoever?
Aye, carried.
Apparently, sir, we're at number 19.
Yep.
Resolution 19, 2020, January 7, 2020. Council members Nichols, Stoyles, and Williams requesting removal of City Attorney Richard Marisro. Whereas the City Charter Article 4, Section 4.02 confers upon the Common Council the power to remove any appointed officer with a 3/4 affirmative vote of entire Common Council. And whereas the Common Council has elected to exercise this power to remove City Attorney Richard Marisro, now therefore be it resolved that Richard Marisro be removed effectively immediately from the position of City Attorney with all compensation including pay and ancillary benefits terminated, even date, time therewith.
Any discussion, council?
Just again to clarify, just again, because I know that you guys weren't here last year when we passed this, for all walk-ins, every walk-in, we need to vote to accept on if we're going to deal with that on this date. And then once we vote on it, to bring it to the floor to have an official vote, then we need to vote on it again. So there'll be 2 votes, one to bring it on, 2 vote, and then another vote on the actual resolution.
Okay, I need a motion to bring it on to the floor to vote.
So moved.
By Councilman Williams.
I second it.
Seconded by Councilwoman Nichols. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
No.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye. Carried. Okay, this would be to bring it to vote and accept on this resolution. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Nope.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye. Carried.
That's just to bring it off the table, correct?
No, we already brought it off the table. That was the official vote.
No, I'm talking for 19, but we're on to 20 now, right?
Right, yeah, correct.
Just a point of login, just to let you guys know that, again, this action, you have 2 legal issues there. The one is I already talked about. Anytime you're taking a power away from another elected official, it has to go to mandatory referendum per general municipal law. And the other hurdle you have here is that in the excerpts I gave of the charter and code, which again, I haven't printed out the full thing yet because I strongly recommend, whether it's me or not that you're working with, that you revise and have a full charter commission, because it hasn't been looked at in full since 1977 when it was created. You have a lot of piecemeal changes that have happened over the years, and as some have noted, we probably have about 5-6 different versions floating around. And so I strongly recommend to do the cleanup on some of the issues that are on the table today, but also just in general to look at the whole charter and the whole code. I think it's time it gets a thorough review. As I just want to put that out there, because again, the issue on this one is, per the council rules of order that are an appendix to the charter, any budget line modification is supposed to go through the Finance Committee first. Finance Committee approves, and then it comes to full council via resolution. That's the usual process unless there's an emergent need. And so I think if you're going to do it today, there has to be at least offered some explanation for the emergent need for doing it this way.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to table this until we can look into this farther.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll for table.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye. Finally need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I make a motion.
By Williams and Councilman Stoyl. Clerk, call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto. Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye.